Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I am your fearless and authentic host, Jodi Harrison Bauer, and it took me a long time to get to be fearless and authentic. It's an evolution. It takes time. It's maybe by the time I die, I will be completely fearless and completely authentic. But the whole aim and mission for this show is to help you overcome obstacles like fear and to step into your truth. So if you are new to the show, this is where we educate, empower. I hope to entertain you a little bit and to inspire you to go and live your most fearlessly authentic life. And as I said, it's not always easy. And today it is just me. So I am going to share with you some knowledge that I have because I am 62 years old and I've been around for a while and I have a lot to share. But I also wanted to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. We love hearing from you. We have a 5-star rating, and you can also find me at Jodi Harrison Bauer on all of my social media platforms, including YouTube. And you could also find me at the Fearlessly Authentic podcast. So check us out there. And if you want to see what we look like, go to YouTube. Just don't do it when you're driving. And I also wanted to talk to you about two things that have been a part of my life for a while. Number one, Wellbell. Wellbell is a hair, nail, and skin supplement designed and created by Dr. Dan, science-backed, and it is a great product that has helped me at 62, being postmenopausal, grow my hair. It has changed the integrity of my hair. My hair is like almost to my lower back, to where my bra would be, bra line. And it's never been that long, forever. And I attribute that success to the length of my hair and the quality of the hair that's growing to Wellbell, because before I started taking it, it was ruined. And to be honest with you, I've been using hair extensions since 2006. Crazy. So since I was about 45 years old, I've been using hair extensions just to give my hair a fuller, longer look. So I do still have the hair extensions in. I'm using hair extensions that do not ruin my hair as much as the old ones did. So I think it's a combination of these amazing supplements and the fact that I'm not using hair extensions that pull on my hair. The problem with a lot of hair supplements is that they have too much biotin in them, but Wellbell does not, because if they did, what happens with too much biotin is that it can lead to breakouts, rashes, and acne. Wellbell only has 500 mcg of biotin compared to 2,500 to 10,000 mcg in other supplements. Wellbell also provides the proper amount of essential vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients to equally help support healthy hair, skin, and nails. Saw palmetto, a main ingredient, helps balance hormones and keeps hair growing only where you want it. So if you are perimenopausal, which means that you are feeling some menopausal symptoms, maybe some weight gain, you're noticing a difference in your hair, skin, and nails, weight gain, and all the other lovely things that go along with being perimenopausal, then menopausal, this is a great supplement to try as you feel those menopausal symptoms coming on or way before. And in last week's episode, I talked about how to be prepared for menopause, and also on another podcast that I have, another show that I have with Voice America, is called The Old Podcast, which I do with my daughter, and we do talk about aging. And so last week's episode on The Old Podcast, we talked about how to be prepared for menopause, and this supplement is a great thing to include in your daily vitamins. So in order to get my discount, which I would love to share with you, for 10% off a single bottle, use code Jodi, Jodi 10. And for 10% off your first month of your monthly subscription, use code Jodi Sub 10. That's JODISUB 10. And if you are also looking to lose weight, gain muscle, feel stronger in your body, I have the Jodi Fit 21-day meal plan. And I have been Jodi Fit for a very long time. That is the name of my fitness studio that I sold last year. But I still have a meal plan that you can purchase on the Jodi Fit website, JODIFIT.com. Go to it, find the meal plan. It's downloadable. I'm coming up with a new plan in about 2 weeks, but 2 months, not 2 weeks, but I'm working on it right now. And if you are looking for some guidance into understanding what you should be eating, how much you should be eating, when, and you just need some guidance, there is a 21-day meal plan on there, a grocery list, a journal. It is something I'm really, really proud that I created. And I did this after I made global news with Sports Illustrated. So if you are a new listener today and you don't know anything about me, I've been in the fitness industry for over 34 years. And let's put it this way, I named this show Fearlessly Authentic after I made global news as the oldest woman to try out for Sports Illustrated swim issue, which is an iconic issue. And I wanted them to include women that were over 55, postmenopausal women that they don't seem to have ever on the cover unless you are a former model or you are a professional, you are a celebrity, I should say, like Martha Stewart, who's I think 80 something, and great for her. But I was looking for them to choose somebody like me who is not a celebrity, who's not a famous model or actress, to include, not necessarily put on the cover, but to include in their swim issue. I think it's very important to bring the fact that women over 55 are very vibrant and have a lot to say, can share our wisdom, can put things in perspective, because let's face it, as I said, I'm 62 years old. I have trained thousands of women to feel better in their bodies and feel better about aging and going, being perimenopause, going through menopause, going through a divorce, going through a breakup, postpartum, through pregnancy, and so on. And in putting myself out there and taking the risk and putting myself out there to try out for Sports Illustrated swim issue was a big risk, but I felt so comfortable doing it because I felt so truthful, standing in my truth, being fearlessly authentic before I even had this show. Because it was something that I believe, and I know because of all of the global attention that I received, that there are women out there who need a voice. They need their voices to be heard. And, a woman who is going through menopause, a woman who's in her 50s, does not want to buy a fitness magazine. So everybody who's listening who has a fitness magazine out there does not want to see a 30-year-old on the cover of it, and doesn't necessarily want to see a 30-year-old doing the workouts because they don't look like that 30-year-old anymore. They're trying to look like their 30-year-old self, or if they didn't look like that in their 30s, they want to get back the body and the feeling that they had when they were younger in their 20s and 30s. But to put a 30-year-old woman, and this is not anything against 30-year-old women, please understand that. There are lots of 30-year-old women who are amazing and are great role models for so many women out there. But I'm saying that we, the baby boomers and the generation behind me, Gen Z, or no, Gen X, I think it is, the ones that are in their 50s right now, I think that I speak for them when I say that they're not getting their inspiration from a 30-year-old. They might say, wow, she looks great, I wish I could look like her. But let's keep it real, trying to get through menopause and then looking at a 30-year-old who, by the way, should look hot, should look fit, should have a healthy BMI, unless they're going through something, is not not realistic for someone in their 50s to be inspired by. It would be very nice to see a lot more women represented who are in their 50s and 60s. And that was my goal. Excuse me. So for some reason, I decided that I wanted to go back in time, like I do often, and in this podcast that I do with my daughter called The Old Podcast, we talk about her being 30, me being 62. And I thought, you know what? I talk a lot on social media about what I would do if I was in my 20s, now that I'm 62, what I would do in my 30s, what I would do in my 40s, which was a transformative time in my life, because it was then that I decided to take the big step, the bold step to change my life. I got divorced at 42. It was not something I wanted to do, but felt like it was something I needed to do because I felt like I was really just so claustrophobic in the relationship. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again today, that it takes two to tango. It is not one person's fault. It is the quote unquote fault of both people. We both want to, both people should want to work on the relationship together, and that's how you stay together. Unfortunately, we were not on the same page, and one of us had to take the big step and make that decision, and he wasn't going to. But I decided that I needed to. And it was then that I took that big step of going through the divorce process. It was hard, but the best thing that happened was that I was able to become who I wanted to be. And I think this happens to a lot of women in their 40s, probably a little bit later now, because women are having their children a little bit later, because we are all living longer. But 20 years ago, it was par for the course for a lot of women to be having their children in their 30s, early 40s. So by the time they were mid 40s, the kids were in school and they were kind of stepping into their own life again if they had stopped working. And that was the case for me. So I can only speak about me. And if you can relate to this in some way or another, and I'm sure you can, because a lot of women that I speak to can, that when we hit our 40s, we're at the height of our sexuality. Our kids are usually in school, or we've decided that maybe we're not going to have children. So we kind of have our life sort of figured out. But there are still many, many women having babies in their 40s. But, we've kind of sort of figured out like who we want to be. And if we're not 100% sure who we want to be, we are figuring it out. And that's what happened to me. I started figuring out who I wanted to be as this new Jodi, this unmarried Jodi, this divorced mom Jodi with small children, and how I was going to show them that I wasn't the mom that they knew. I was this other very independent woman who had a mind of her own, but they never heard that because of the relationship that I had with their dad. So it was very important for me to show them the strength of a woman and show them the kind of relationships they can have with themselves, voicing their opinions, being strong women, embracing that feminine power and also that masculine power, because that's when we have that balance in our life, and starting to live the life that they want to live. And one of the things that was important to me was to show them that I had interests, that I had passions. They knew that I was always training women, that I was in the fitness world. They knew that about me. But other than that, it wasn't, they didn't know that part of mom. And it was very important for me for them to realize that I was a person. And even though I still made the rules in the house as their mom, that I was still a woman, and I wanted them to grow up understanding what it's like to be a strong woman. And a strong woman doesn't mean a woman who has to be bold and in your face. It's about, or aggressive. It's about being assertive. It's about being educated. It's about feeling empowered by the information that you learn about yourself and about other things, and stepping into that power of understanding life better, understanding yourself better, and not falling into line like sheep, not being vanilla. And that's what I learned in my 40s, was that I didn't want to be vanilla anymore. I didn't want to be vanilla in my 40s. And I was going to boldly step out of that people-pleasing place, where I think a lot of women who are listening right now could understand being stuck in a place, whether you're married or not, or in a relationship or not, but stuck in a place that they don't want to be because maybe they thought that's where they were supposed to be. And so many of us do get stuck from staying in a place that we don't want to be. And that's why I decided to change my life at 42. And it was scary, but I did it. So when we come back from the break, we will talk more about the steps that you can take to boldly step out and not be vanilla. Welcome back, everyone. And we were talking about not being vanilla in your 40s. And for me, that was a time of transitioning into not being vanilla. And when I think back to how vanilla I was, when I say that, I just mean that I was a people pleaser. I was stuck being a flavor that everybody liked. Does that make sense? And I did not want to do that anymore. And nobody was more surprised than myself when I decided to file for divorce and move on with my life. It was the scariest time in my life, but it was the best thing that I could have done for my mental health. And so one of the first things that I would suggest that you do, if you have decided to leave a relationship, leave a job, you are newly minted 40, and you're like, you know what? It's time for me to take over the world. I did a lot of crazy shit in my 20s and my 30s. I was still trying to figure stuff out. I either got married, I had kids, now my kids are in school, or maybe I still want to have kids and I'm in my 40s. Whatever it is, and you're in your 40s because you are at the height of your sexuality, that I want you to just believe in yourself and not be scared to step out, not be vanilla, and step into your authentic self, step into your power. So one of the things that I did, that I strongly suggest that my clients do, no matter what age they are, but I feel like your 40s are such a pivotal time because so many women, as I said before, many women, although it's changed now, are usually towards the end of having their children, or they decided they're not going to have children. It's somewhere like in your mid 40s, because then perimenopause starts happening. And, you know, we seem to have more freedom then because the kids are in school. If you've had kids in your 30s, and even if you decide to have children in your late 30s and they're still in, but you know, by 3-4 years old, you have some free time to yourself because your kids are in school or you have somebody helping you. I'm just making a broad description of where you probably are in your 40s, still trying to figure things out, still trying to figure out who you are. And I want you to be fearless in it and not be afraid to take risks on yourself. And one of the things that I did after my divorce was that I decided to embrace my passions. Now, my passion at the time was always fitness. I always loved to work out. And that was a big passion, but I wanted to take it a step farther And it was something I wasn't allowed to do while I was married. Yes, you heard me right. I wasn't allowed to do it. I had to, you guys, I had to fit into a box and be what everybody wanted me to be. And the friends that I had, it wasn't going to work. Okay. I had discussed this. It wasn't going to happen. So after my divorce, I said, you know what, I'm going to pursue competing in fitness shows. And I continued to work out, was still training my clients. And now I was making it really into a business because I had to now really figure out what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But I had time to figure it out. So I didn't put all that pressure on myself, but I did decide to embrace my passion, which I believed was going to be competing in fitness shows. And I did. I found a coach and I started competing at 46. I found a coach at like 45, 46, started competing at 47. And then I won my two world consecutive titles at 49, and then opened up my studio at 50. And then continued to compete, but not with the same passion I had in my late 40s when I was also going through menopause and in a toxic relationship. But anyway, what I was doing at that time in my life, in my 40s, I was not being vanilla. I was trying new things. I had put myself out there. I was dating. I was having sex. I was having sex with all different types of men. And I was exploring my sexuality, understanding my sexuality, because prior to getting married, I had very few sexual partners before I got married at 24. So I was alive and kicking, did all this stuff when my daughters were with their dad. I was not having random men at my house, just so you understand. And my daughters were always my number one priority, but I decided to go all in on the competition. And I had a great coach who really pushed me. And I needed that in my life at the time because I still feared, what are people going to think of me? But I knew, and this is what I want you to hear, I knew that what I was doing was being myself. I was being my authentic self. We weren't using words like authenticity back in 2006, 2007. We were talking about, yes, being scared, but we weren't talking necessarily about being fearless. I was talking about being a scaredy cat and being a people pleaser. And I did fear judgment, but we didn't have social media back then. So we didn't have all these buzzwords that we have now. But I will tell you, when I was 46, 47, 48, and so on, I was going through the beginning of menopause. I was perimenopausal. I was scared. I was scared of failing at this passion that I had. Nobody supported me on it, except maybe my parents did, but nobody. And because I lost so many of my friends in the divorce, because, they couldn't be with Jodi anymore because Jodi was dating all of these men. Jodi was dating. Oh my God, Jodi was dating. How awful for you to be in suburbia dating in your 40s. And she was having sex. Oh my God, sex. She was having sex. And she was also going to the gym all the time. And she was going to compete and get into a bikini with stripper heels on stage. Oh my God, what a whore, right? So I had nobody to support me whatsoever. And, my mom and dad did the best that they could do to support me. But my daughters were like 12 and 16 at the time. And, they were going through their own stuff. So I needed to be there for them. And when you're raising children, nothing is about you. But what they did see was the discipline I had to embrace my passion and go after something. And I wanted them to see that because I always want my daughters to go after everything they want. And I stopped being vanilla. I was a swirl. any kind of swirl. I just wasn't fitting into anybody else's box anymore. I wasn't being vanilla. I was being any flavor I wanted to be. That was low in fat, no sugar, because I was competing. So that is something that I would tell you, that if you do not want to be vanilla, if you want to be fearless in your 40s, and girls, ladies, please be fearless in your 40s. It is such a fun time. Children or not, divorced or not, married or not, hopefully you find a great partner that you can be fearless. It doesn't mean that you need to get divorced, or you need to be single, or you need to have children, or anything like that. That's just my story that I'm sharing to help inspire you to go do the same thing, because I don't want you to ever be stuck the way I was stuck. So I stepped out. So number one, I embraced my passion. My passion, I thought, was to compete in fitness shows. And it is a passion, because I'm getting back on stage at 62 in November. So that's going to be something I'm going to be talking about also. That just led to so much confidence. It improved my self-esteem. Everything changed in my life. I was everything in my life, a better trainer, a better mom, a better sister, a better daughter, because I felt better about myself, because I was actually standing in my truth. I was standing in my power. I was being fearless. And fearlessly authentic, as I said at the top of the show, is not something we do every single day, because we do get scared. But you have to remember to step outside of that fear and embrace it, step over it, and be who you want to be. Because the only way that we're going to grow and be the best versions of ourselves for the people that we love and we care about and we want to help is to be fearless, and to take the risks on ourselves, and to step into our truth, which is also stepping into our power. So literally, when I think about walking on stage and the way that I did, and the way I practiced walking on stage, I can't even begin to tell you guys, how powerful I felt walking on that stage. I could cry about thinking about how powerful it made me feel to walk on that stage, knowing that I had done the work, that this was all on me. If I failed, okay, the judging is subjective, but if I failed, I knew that maybe I missed something. Maybe I didn't do something right. That's the perfectionist in me. But having the right coach helps you get through those times. But I felt so powerful walking out on that stage, and I can't wait to do it again. I hope I don't fall. But I felt so powerful walking on that stage, and that powerful walk, that first step I took walking on that stage and waving to the audience, set the tone for the way I was living my life as well. It was, here I am. Don't be afraid of the judgment, because you are bringing the best version of yourself to this game of life. Did you hear that? You are stepping into your truth and bringing the best version of yourself to the world, to the people you love. Wow. Okay, did not know I was going to cry to that, but that's how powerful it is. And I know you're going to feel it when you step into your truth. It's crazy stepping outside of your comfort zone. Oh my God. Like, again, I had nobody except my parents in my life who were supporting me on this venture. Nobody. And that's why having the right coach, the right mentor is so important. And I learned that lesson to be a better coach, to be a better mentor for the people that came to me for help. So you've got to step out of your comfort zone. So if it means going to a coach or a trainer to learn how to get healthy and fit, lose weight, gain muscle, feel stronger in your body. If it's going back to school and you feel uncomfortable doing it, but you need to learn because you want to change your career, go ahead and do it. Being uncomfortable is the first sign of knowing that you are taking a step in the right direction. You might stop and pause and think, wait a minute. I'm not feeling comfortable with this. I don't want to do it, but do it anyway. Try it. As I was talking about my meal plan that I created a couple of years ago after Sports Illustrated, and one of the hardest things for people to do is to change a habit in their life, right? It's a habit, and it takes 21 days to start changing a habit. So for me, going back to deciding to change my life, it took me a lot more than 21 days to decide that I was going to get divorced. But even when my coach told me that I was ready, she's like, Harrison, get out on stage. Like, you're ready. You're ready. We have a show, there's a competition next week. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Ready is a lie. I had a wonderful guest on this show a couple of years ago, and she talked about how ready is a lie, because we're never ready. Ready is a lie. We're never ready. So when your coach or your mentor tells you, launch this program, get on stage, go to Europe by yourself, travel by yourself, whatever it is, do it. You are going to be scared, but you are going to walk into your courage. You're going to walk into your power and your strengths. And each time you do that, you will be less and less scared to do it. So I'm talking about also learning. You have to learn these things, work with people, go back to school, find a mentor who could teach you how to learn more about who you are and grow from it. So for me, the biggest jump to growth for me was getting divorced. And then I had to figure out, oh, okay, this is a whole new life. I would like to find somebody to spend the rest of my life with, so I'll start dating. So back then it was Match.com. What do? You throw yourself out there. Eek, I got to put my picture out there. Oh, there were no filters back there, you guys. There was nothing like they had now. Not that you should be using a filter on any of your profile pictures, if you're on a dating site or any place else. But yeah, I had to put my picture out there. I had to tell people what I was looking for. I didn't know. I didn't know if anybody would ever message me and say, hey, you seem like a nice person. Let's go on a date. But I found that I came from being in a relationship where I didn't feel smart, where I didn't feel seen, where I didn't feel heard, where my passions and my feelings of wanting to do things were swept under the rug, and it was not viewed as a priority or important. And so suddenly I had put myself out there and was vulnerable when it came to the dating world, and decided and realized, oh, okay, I have a good personality. Men are finding me attractive. I didn't know I was attractive. Honestly, I did not know. Sure, growing up, my parents told me I was pretty. I always had a boyfriend. I was that girl that always had a boyfriend. But I didn't get any validation about my looks, about anything while I was married. And you're probably thinking, why did you marry this guy? That's for another show. So I decided, when I got divorced and I put myself out there in the dating world, that I took a chance on myself. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I decided to step into my truth, and started learning about myself as a woman, as learning how to flirt, and then with the fitness shows and learning how to prep for a show, I had this wonderful coach that believed in me and wanted to see me succeed. So if you are looking to learn how to be your best self in your 40s, which again is the most wonderful time in your life. Trust me, I know that. And it is a wonderful time. It is different from your 20s and 30s, and your 40s are just a great pivotal time in your life. And so get that knowledge, find somebody who can mentor you and teach you and grow from every experience and allow yourself to be vulnerable. We are going to take a quick break, and we are going to continue with how to avoid being vanilla and fearless in your 40s. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Fearlessly Authentic. We were talking about how to be fearless and avoid being vanilla in your 40s if you are a person who feels like they are vanilla and are a little stuck, like I was, because your 40s are a great time to explore. One of the other things that I would suggest to you that I did that worked for me is it's kind of a cool time to start expressing your style. And that was something that happened to me as well. I was, as if I ever showed you guys a picture, you would die laughing, because I was your typical 90s looking housewife. I had very short hair. Remember Sharon Stone in, I don't remember the name of the movie, but I should, with Michael Douglas, and how short her hair was. My hair was that short, but I was not as hot as Sharon Stone. So I had very short hair. I looked very, very Connecticut suburban mom, and I was very conservative with my clothes. And so when I was married, two of the things that I wanted after I had both daughters, I had them at 28 and 32. At 35, I asked my ex-husband if I could get a boob job, and he said no. And I also asked him at 35 if I could compete in fitness shows. So there, you just got the truth about my life. And those two things were, that's when I started realizing, oh, you know what, Jodi, you're not really living the life that you want. This is just not really working. And I wasn't allowed to go back to work. So anyway, after I got divorced, I realized, as I was stepping into my truth, as I was meeting people, going on dates, I started to change the way I looked. I let my hair grow. I got a boob job. I was stepping into my sexier self, the person I wanted to be, but wasn't allowed to be in my former life. I was really, really boxed in that marriage. And so I developed a personal style and values. Now, the problem with all that is if you're keeping your same friends, they don't necessarily accept you. So when I say I lost all my friends when I got divorced in my 40s, we had a birthday group, and I'm sure so many women who are listening right now could understand, can remember the birthday groups. If you were part of a birthday group that went out for dinner or out for lunch, since none of us worked, we did it a lot, very often at lunchtime. And so when our kids were in school and, we weren't bothering our husbands and we would be home for dinner. Oh my goodness. Stepford wife. We were Stepford wives. Anyway, so they saw the physical changes that were occurring in me, and always gave me shit about going to the gym and eating really, really healthy. This was in the 90s. And there was one point that, there was one woman in the group that had a real issue with me that I had fake boobs. This is 2003. She had a real issue with me. She was a few years older, and we went out for lunch, for dinner, and I was wearing, trust me, not a revealing top at all, but my boobs were out a little bit, like not out, but like normal out. And she actually said, again with the boobs, and that led me to cry because I was very sensitive. I still am, but not like that. And I was like, I don't need these people in my life anymore. Fuck them. I do not need these kind of people in my life. So as I was like expressing myself, I was getting negative feedback Can you imagine how hard that is? Here you are, you have gone through a divorce. You've lost your friends because now they don't want to go out with you because you're just dating. You don't have a husband anymore, or you don't have a steady boyfriend. I didn't want a steady boyfriend. I just wanted to date. I was married for 17 years. I didn't need a steady boyfriend. Like, leave me alone. So they didn't like my new lifestyle. They would talk about me behind my back, and they didn't like my new style. So needless to say, I stopped being part of that group, and I moved on and met new people, new friends. And so it's really important that if you are stuck and you realize that this isn't the person you want to be, one of the ways that we start expressing ourselves is through, maybe the way we're decorating our home, but mostly it's the way we look. It's the way we're wearing our hair, the color of our hair, the way we're wearing our clothes. That reflects who we are. And I still get shit about it now. I still get women now, and I'm friggin' 62 years old, that women still say to me, you had to wear that. I went to a funeral. My ex-father-in-law passed away a couple of months, and obviously I wore a very conservative dress, and you would not believe the crap I got, mostly in jest, but like, oh my God, Jodi, I've never seen you in such a conservative dress. Well, I mean, my goodness, it was my ex-father-in-law that died. My dress came down to my knees and my boobs were covered, of course. I'm not that girl that goes out and just shows off my boobs, and I'm just not that girl. But based on the woman I was when I was raising my children and still married in suburbia, it was a big change. But I started expressing who I was by the things that I was doing. And I really, really am trying to express to you how important that is for you to step into your truth and wear the clothes that you want to wear. They should be appropriate, if you know what I mean. But express your style, and don't let anybody else tell you how to be. I was very also open to change, and I want you to be open to change in your 40s. If you don't want to be vanilla anymore and you want to be fearless, do they go together, being vanilla and fearless? I don't really know. I think so. For me, I felt like being vanilla was being a scaredy cat, because if I wanted to be a really exciting flavor, with a twist and a swirl and sprinkles and all that other stuff, then I had to be open to taking risks and not afraid of the judgment, right? Does that make sense? So I needed to be open to changing. So again, while I was out there dating, not when my children were home, but when they were with their father, I was a very responsible mother, still am. And I mean, my daughters are in 30s. So being open to change. And when I was talking earlier about I experimented a lot in different sexual experiences, not overly crazy things, but I didn't have a lot of sexual experiences before I got married. So my 40s was a time where I really allowed myself to be open to learning and changing. I wanted to be the best version of me. It also allowed me to realize who the important people were in my life, and continue to build on those very strong relationships, and also meet new people where I could also build meaningful relationships different than the ones that I had when I was married, because I was becoming a different person. I continue to set goals. So if you are somebody who is looking to change and to step outside of your comfort zone, set some bold goals. Be ambitious. Be a little realistic. Okay. We don't want them to be crazy. I always use the example of, I'm not going to ever try to become a pole vaulter at 5 feet tall. So be realistic, but make them bold. Step outside of your comfort zone, as I talked about before. Travel and explore. That's not enough of what I ever did in my 40s, because I was trying to just get my shit together with all the things I've already talked to you about. So, but I did travel more with my children, because I didn't have anybody telling us what we couldn't do and where we couldn't go. But I have to get back to that. And because it's something that I miss. And I think that learning about other cultures and traveling even alone, which is something I am going to do this year. You heard it. Didn't do it a lot in my 40s at all, like never. So do that in your 40s. I was always involved in community service, especially more so when I was married, just because after I got divorced, I really needed to figure out who I was. But giving back, belonging to some type of church or synagogue and giving back, it's just such a great feeling. For me in the town that I live in now, they have a community kitchen, and helping to feed homeless people and people who are in a tough situation is just a great feeling of being in a position of being able to help other people. Last but certainly not least, because I talk about it all the time, staying physically and mentally active. That was always a part of my life. And if you are in your 40s and you are looking to make a change, one of the best things that you can start doing by yourself or hiring a coach, hiring a mentor, is getting yourself healthy. The body follows the mind. It's the mind that tells you what we're going to do, and the body follows. The body follows what the mind says. So get your mind and your body active and healthy. Celebrate your achievements. If you've stepped outside of your comfort zone, if you've set a goal and you got there, celebrate it. So many times we feel like, oh, no, I don't want to celebrate it. You feel like you're bragging. You're not. You don't have to tell the whole world, but I want you to do that, because that's going to help you with a positive mindset and continue to stay curious for your entire life and stay positive. You are a friggin' rock star. I want you to understand this. There is no reason why you should be vanilla unless you like being vanilla. And if you do, you know what, girlfriend, you stay there and live your best life ever. For me, I needed to get out of the vanilla world and become a great big flavorful swirl with sprinkles and everything else that went with it. Because now I pretty much know who I am, kind of, sort of. But there is more to come for that. But take advantage of where you are in your 40s, ladies. You can be fearless in your 40s. It is a time to just explore everything and not stick to vanilla. I am so happy that you joined me today on this episode of Fearlessly Authentic. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. I love you guys. And I will see you next week. And in the meantime, go be fearlessly authentic. And again, thank you for listening. Bye.